one more time, we wanted to ask one more question before we take a little bit more of your time. Is one of the questions every fan wants to know. If you weren't wrestling, what would you be doing?
If I weren't wrestling, I would be a musician. I was a musician before I actually started wrestling. I love music. I did kind of stop diving into music. It's like when you have it in you, it's sort of like wrestling. You just dive in. Like wrestling, you dive in. Like in this pool, you just dive in and you immerse yourself in it. And ever since I was a kid, growing up, I wasn't allowed to play the guitar. So and since I wasn't allowed to play the guitar, I had to find my own way to buy my own guitar. And since I didn't have money, I ended up building my own guitar out of scraps. Some guy didn't want to, he had pieces of guitar. So I started buying like little pieces and putting broken pieces of an acoustic into an electric guitar, and I put it together.
MacGyver on that.
Yeah, all MacGyver stuff. And my best friend, my first tag partner, Cesar, he was and he is fantastic at the guitar. And he tried to play my guitar, and he couldn't because it was a piece of crap. It's a thing that I put together with nuts and bolts, a little bit of paint, some sanding, gum. I probably held pieces together with gum, chicken wire maybe, duct tape, but it was something, a guitar that I built on my own, and I learned how to play on it. Thankfully, later on, I was able to afford a guitar on my own, and so honestly, I think I only have one guitar that I bought from brand new from a shop. Right. Only one, and I still have it. But my most favorite one is that one that I built on my own.
You still have that to this day?
I don't.
Oh, that would be a great picture, dude, especially for the website.
Yeah, some guy, he wanted to learn how to play the guitar. He said he wanted to learn how to play the guitar, and so I said, okay, learn on this. He ended up going to Jill in the Hall. Never saw the guitar again.
Somewhere at the thrift store in Uptown Whittier or something.
No, it's probably in the trash because the mom probably thought this is trash and threw it away. But I love music, and that's actually, I know that after wrestling, that's what I'm gonna probably start doing again. So I've been.
One more nosy question: What kind of music do you play with your guitar? You a rock and roller? You do Santana? I mean.
I do. Honestly, it's kind of bluesy.
All right.
I always loved the blues.
And it's fun to play. I used to play with my dad all the time.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, my dad used to play that kind of music, and I would join in as a rookie and just do the little chords, but they would do the solo. Yeah, just do the rhythm. Yeah, exactly. I sit there like that for like hours at a time. Yeah, but they would do the solos and the singing, and so it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
It is. And so I'm thinking, because when I stopped playing, I was at that point where, like, everybody wants to go super fast. Yeah, I know all these scales. But I got to a point where I realized, wait, it's not about going super fast. It's not about how many scales you can do and how many bends or whatever you can do. Harmonics and all that stuff. It's about what sounds good and what comes out of you,
Which is true, though, because I remember when my dad taught me a lot of those flamenco things. I would go off and people, oh, it's good, but when some people would just do a few simple notes and women would go crazy.
Yeah, because it's the feelings. Exactly. It's what you do. It's like, and it also applies to wrestling. You could do a bunch of 450 splashes, but if you start doing it in the beginning of the match, it doesn't mean anything at the end of the match.
Yeah, it kind of lost its meaning a little bit.
So what are you gonna do at the end? So it's something about knowing when to put this in, when to put that in, and that's how beautiful music is made. That's how beautiful matches are made. To know how to read your audience and to let what's inside come out. Just that creativity, that love, and that's why I always thought that wrestling was a bit like music, because it had to do with time, it had to do with feeling, it had to do with putting what's inside you
manifesting it out into the real world. Like when people say with my pictures, I don't think they're that great. People say, how do you put those pictures together? I just do it out of fun. I just see stuff like in my head, and like when I saw your picture with you doing the little thing, I said, you know something, as movie star status, I'll glitter them up, I'll put the real lines, and that's what I see. And I like to do that with all the wrestlers. I come up with different personas. Like with Estad, I do the comic book thing. With you, I do more of the movie star kind of thing. I do that with every wrestler. Like you said, it's in your head, you bring it out, and then you put it out.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's seeing that vision and trying to make that vision come out for everybody to see. That's when it's like, or wee. Doing a little hop. It's
oh god.
That's when you know you've done it. You know that's success. That's the same look that Rocky Balboa has the last match where he just like, yeah, I did it. You know, I remember sitting in front of my 4-track and then putting the earphones on, like, I did it. I got what I had in here, come out on tape. All right.
It was great though. It's a real accomplishment, especially after all the time, because there's always going to be critics. Oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. So when you finally get it down there, it's just that people gratify, they loved it. It's a whole nother film. It really is.
Yeah.
It makes you feel good, you know. I mean, with your wrestling and everything else, people say, hey, you're great, and blah blah blah. It really does. I mean, I can only imagine that, you know.
It's and same thing, I guess, with wrestling and with music. I wasn't allowed to play. Like I said, I wasn't allowed to play my guitar at home. So I'd sit there while my parents did their thing, and I'd sit there in the living room with my ear to the guitar, to an electric guitar, unplugged, everything, and I had to play it very soft, but I'd sit there for the love of music, for the love of the guitar. I just sit there, and when nobody was home, you know, it was beautiful.
With the Van Halen status after that, you're like,
but then with wrestling as well, it's like I wasn't allowed. When I started getting into wrestling and I wanted to train, I remember my parents saying, "You can't do that. You have a bad back." People who and I never really had close friends or anything, but those friends would say, like, "I thought you had a bad back. Like you got 2 ruptured discs in your lower back. You can't do that stuff." And then all of a sudden, forward 8 years later, here I am doing my woo. You know, it's great. And it starts off with trying to prove people wrong. Like, no, Mom, I can play my guitar. Ding, 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 ding. No, Mom. No, Mom, I can roll around half naked with other men. Yeah.
Hey, you know something? This has been great, actually. I'm here with Hector Canales, and this is Necrosdanny. Want to say goodbye to everybody, and you guys have yourself a good one.
All right. That was really cool.